Nervousness born from the earth, my madness came by storm. I heard heaven and hell, but how can I be mad? Across the table, I'll tell you the tale. I wanted for nothing from the old man, not even gold. I'll tell no lie, it was the old man's eye, a veiled pale blue eye. Peering into it, my blood ran cold. And my heart is where I hold a secret plan for this old man. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. You may think me mad, but how for madness knows nothing. I sit here, my mind clear, this tale I tell. Are these the sounds from hell? 7 days I crept planning, but never did the eye reveal itself till that night. A slip, a sound awakened did he, but I could not flee. I felt his fear that we tried to comfort and steer his dread, for he lay back in his bed. In flash I jumped on him, dragging him down. Now no more sound, he lie there dead on the ground. Descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. Both fear and glee swept over me. No one would ever find the body. Sometime now they came, sat chatting, but I could hear it, the heart beating. It grew louder and louder, I could no longer contain myself as I slid the chair. They still stayed there, not leaving, my anxiety rising. Could they not hear the beating heart coming from beyond the dark? No longer could I stand it, came my admittance. Here it is, the beating of his hideous heart. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming.
Oh, there we go. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. Had to say it twice. Mic was muted. Happens. All right. Oh, it's good to be back, guys. It's good to be back. I took a little vacation. I'm not vacation. We didn't go anywhere, but I just kind of took a little hiatus, man. Wasn't sick the whole time, just so you know. Did have to go to the hospital one night, and I personally wouldn't have gone, but I have a wife, and she was just like, "You're going to the hospital," because I had a fever, and it was just one night, and I have my own theories about it. You know what I think is going on there, because there's a bunch of us who were getting sick at the same time, and but it was mild, like it was just one day. It was like one day, and you get real sick, and then you're just like, "I'm fine," and yeah. So what happened was the doctor came out and he's like, "We're gonna probe you," and I'm like, "What? What?" He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna probe you." He had this like electric toothbrush thing. It was like, and he started going toward me, and so I was like, "I'm good, I'm healed," and I got up and I left, and everything was fine. I was like, "I'm good, I'm fine. I feel nothing. I want nothing." And the doctor was like, "Where are you going?" He was chasing me. He was trying to get me. I was like, "No, dude, no, no, no." I finally unmasked him. It turned out he was a gray alien, and then I woke up. Fever dreams, folks. You don't want them. There's some bad crap. I'm telling you. Look at that. Oh, man. Let me tell you, I should have not tightened this hat so much. Look at this. Look what it did to me. Look at that. Jeez. Oh well. I got away though. That's the important thing. I got away. You know. And then for days, the doctor kept calling me and calling. He's like, "You need to come back up here. I need to take a look at you." I'm like, "You already did. You saw me." He was trying to talk me into it. He's, "You come up here. We'll work something out." I don't want to. I'm good. Thank you. You know. But I'm joking, folks. I'm kidding. That didn't happen. I went to the doctor and they were just like, "There's some antibiotics. You know, there's a stomach thing going around, and a bunch of people have it, and here you go." So, but it's weird because there's a lot of people who got sick at the same time I did, and and a lot of people that I don't know. Like one of my clients, I was talking to her, and she's like, "My son is sick. He's got this stomach thing," and I'm going, "Yeah, I do too." And then another lady, one of our sites, she was sick, and we see her sometimes. She likes to talk a lot. She's an older lady, and she's kind of, so she just talks a lot. And she's telling me and Anthony, like, I got sick, and I don't know what's going on, and my husband's sick, and and so yeah, it's just a bunch of people getting sick, and thank goodness I'm okay. So after that, I just decided, because I had a lot of work to do, at my business. So I decided to take a break. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take a break. I'm just going to take a break. And I took a week off. That's pretty much it. I felt better the next day, not completely better because I was really dehydrated. So they gave me like the IV drip and all that. But after that, they were like, you know what? You're free to go. I mean, you're fine. Um, so that was pretty much it. Thank you though for the prayers and everybody that contributed. So here's a little update, because we're waiting for the chat to fill up here, because people jump in late and they're like, "What's going on? What did I miss?" And I'm like, "You missed an entire encounter." Everybody knows what we do on Sunday. We retell people's encounters on Sunday. And so here's the thing. Starting in September, we're going to be doing one show a week that's purely Patreon. I know we tried doing that before. We didn't really have a big turnout, but the Patreon has grown exponentially, and we're just going to have to keep doing it. And so we're going to start off just doing one extra show. It's going to be an extra show. So everything's going to stay the same on YouTube, but there's going to be an extra show on Patreon. And that's going to start in September. It's going to be a pre-recorded episode about many different subjects that we talk about here at Paranormal Roundtable. And we've already recorded the first batch that they're going to be out on Patreon. So join the Patreon. It's a $10 minimum. I mean, it's not like a lot of money. We're not gouging you. But it's the $10, and you get a swag bag. You get the book, you get the stickers, the keychain, all that stuff, and you get an autographed book from one of many authors, and it goes up from there, like the different tiers. And so the vampire book. Now I have not quite completed it yet. I'm a few thousand words shy of finishing it, but I'm not real happy with. There's something missing. I don't know what it is, and I just keep going back over it and going back over it, and I just don't. I don't know. It's not like I think it's good, but I want it to be great because I've already had 2 other books, and I want this one to be great, and I don't, and it's like, you drive the people crazy. You're like, "Look, I need to do this, you do that," and they're like, "Whoa, keep on." Yeah, it's not where I want it to be. So that's it, man. Yeah, go more in depth. That's what John Maddox says. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. We just need to go more in depth. I don't know because there's so many different angles to that subject. It's hard to just write a book, just say, oh, this is the definitive book on vampires. It's not. It's not going to be. It's just going to be from my perspective and from the encounters that were given to me. And a lot of these people didn't say, like, oh, well, this is a vampire. They didn't say that. It just, I know that that's what it is, because, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Lolo, you popped into my head the other day. I remember you saying something about I scare you. I don't know why. Why do you say that, Lolo? That really stuck with me. I don't want to scare people. I'm not here to try to terrorize people. Oh God, T-Mac, is that correct? They're doing a reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was already pretty. It had a lot of agenda in it already. Whedon's kind of that guy, and I guess they're gonna stuff more into it. She's probably gonna be a trans person at this point, I would imagine. I mean, it's probably gonna get worse. I mean, give me 1 second, folks. All right, folks. I had forgotten something to do today. Oh. It's not showing the viewer count on there, is it?
I think that widget's bugged ever since StreamYard updated their platform. It stopped working.
So here's the thing, folks. Like I said, it's a $10 buy-in. Basically, you get it's $10, and you'll get that extra show every week. But then probably we're shooting for toward the end of October, like near Halloween. We're probably going to take one of the live streams away, probably Wednesday. We haven't decided yet, but Wednesday is going to move over to a Patreon only episode. And I'm eventually just going to have like maybe two shows a week on YouTube. That's just YouTube. And then the rest is going to be on the paywall. We have to do this for multiple reasons. I'm not going to get into it, man. If you know, you know. And we can't depend on people's kindness to be like, oh, we're going to, donate, because honestly, there's only a handful of people who really do donate regularly. And it's been 6 years. It's been over 6 years. And those that want to say, oh, they're going behind a paywall, I knew they would. Doesn't matter what they say. It's been 6 years and I've not done it. And we don't have the members only thing. That's going to start in September, right? The pre-record is going to be members only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's going to be the Thursday show, right?
Yeah.
So join up, folks, become a member, because we can't do the giveaways for members, right? But we sent out all of the stuff this past week. So if you're a Patreon, or if you're a a giveaway winner, you should be getting your stuff this week. So stick around, because at the end of the show, we're going to do the giveaway tonight. We're going to pick 3 lucky people to be a winner, so you can get something from us. Here's the thing. Members only. Okay. That's going to be the pre-record. That's going to come on members only. So you can be in the chat and watch the show. It's going to be a members only show. That's going to start in September too. So if you're a member, your name is in green, then you're going to get the Tuesday or the Thursday episode. And the Patreon, they're going to get that. They're going to get the, not the Patreon separate from the members. The Patreon is going to get the extra show a week. All right. So it's going to be good, like for you, if you're a member and if you're on a Patreon. Patreon and member are 2 different things. We don't have a way to combine them.
Yeah, they're not integrated, unfortunately.
You can't integrate it. But if you become the Patreon member, you get the extra show, and you'll be able to get all the shows that we put on there, and you'll get a swag bag. So the higher tier you go, so if you're like a Patreon member, you're going to get all the swag that you get now, but you'll also get the extra show. So you're going to be the beneficiary. So everything's kind of going to start going through Patreon. Patrick says, please, Patrick Mack, what are you saying here? Please explain Patreon. Every page I've loaded with Patreon shows error. Not sure why that would be.
Well, ours is up and running.
Yeah, ours is up and running, man. If you go to put the link to the Patreon. We need to start doing that every episode so they'll know how to do it. So do it now. You can help support the show, and then, we can start. You can be ready when we move to Patreon. You can be ready. So in order to get the pre-record episode every week, it's going to be members only. That's going to move to members only. So on YouTube, though, you'll still get the Sunday show. You'll get the Monday show and the Wednesday show. But by the end of October, because it's going to go for about 60 days, and at the end of October, and we're following a formula that was explained to us by some other YouTubers, because everybody's doing it but us. We're like one of the only channels that aren't doing it. And my friends on all the other channels, just about every channel you can think of anybody's channel. Marzulli, Merkel, Blondes and Booze, everybody. They all have members only content. They all have, paywalls, and we don't. We just haven't done it. And we have been very proud of that. But, just can't do it anymore, man. And it takes up a lot of time. And the thing too, some of these people, not the ones I mentioned, but there are people in this community who use AI generated stories, and that's fine. Do what you got to do. That's not illegal. They can do that. Somebody tried to tell me that it was illegal, but no, it's not. They can do that. It's their right to do that. But to me, they're passing them off as real, and that's not correct because it's AI. And another thing too, I mean, like if you're into this kind of material, like, and this is what you want to do and you pursue this, then you're going to want to get a hold of the information. I don't think $9.99 or 10, whatever it is, $10, whatever. I don't think it's very, very, it's not that much to ask, and we're not getting, paid for what we're doing, and we're still kind of paying to play, and that's not correct. Most of my colleagues are making profits substantially better than ours, and it's a time consuming effort, and I like doing it, but it was starting to eat into my business too much. Okay, and so I had to talk with my business partner, and I mean, he wants me to take on more responsibility as he slowly retires, and I'm just like, I'm doing this. But the question is, how do I put them together? Well, I got to take on more responsibility. What's going to pay me? And this isn't going to pay me. And so, in order to, to justify, the time and energy that I put into this, there has to be something there. So I hope you understand. I hope that you understand this, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to, say, hey, well, I'm not going to do this unless I get paid. That's not correct. People are going to look at it how they want to look at it. But like I said, folks, thank you for that donation, Mike. I appreciate it. It's been 6 years. Okay. So please be understanding. I mean, I always had this, I've said this before, and Anthony, you've heard me say this. It seems like, when you do the right thing for too long, you get punished for it, because then when you say, hey, this isn't fair, then everybody gets on you, because it's like, well, you've just always given.
Yeah.
And when you can't give, then they get,
oh, you're a sellout, man.
yeah, then you're a jerk, but they're not calling all these other people for doing it because they did it out the gate,
Yeah.
we just can't keep going the way we are. It's just not. I mean, and if you go back and look at the episodes and you see like the donations and things like that, you'll see it. I mean, it's the same people all the time, and there's hundreds and hundreds of people in the chat. Now, I get it that some people can't afford it. And I got I'm going to be honest, man. I was disappointed in some of the crap that was sent my way. I mean, I got some hate. I mean, people were just like, well, I like your show, but not enough to pay for it. You think you're more than you are, blah, blah, blah. It's the same little hateful things like that. Emailing me little crap and messaging me stuff and being like, well, I'm on a fixed income. Well, I understand that. If you're on a fixed income, I totally get it. I totally understand that. But people like that been watching my show for years, like, I've been watching your show for years, I want any more. Then don't. I can see that. It's reflected in some of the people who abandoned us as soon as we said we were going to a paywall. Sorry, man. I mean, but the end of September, this has to happen. I have no choice. At this point, it's
the pre-recorded episodes. I want to transition those to video as well, not just audio. So it shows us here in the studio, like the same way Tony Merkel does it. With his pre-records their video.
So does Marzulli.
Yeah, Marzulli.
There's a bunch of people that do it.
Just like
anybody.
Podcasts, their pre-records are always video.
And to be more successful, you have to.
A lot more time though to edit. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, and part of the decision was you and Nelly and everybody. This wasn't a decision that was made just by me. It was us, and we consulted people who were already doing this. And somebody says your microphone is off.
Yeah.
Okay. So other people. They said, look, some people were surprised. Some of these other podcasters, YouTubers, were surprised that we weren't doing it. Like everybody has that they all do that. And I've talked to and I have some really big podcaster friends that have big channels, like Nanokio. He's got and they're all saying the same thing. Like, you're not doing that, no, we're not. And now we have to, I mean, because there's no choice. And I do feel bad about it, but I can't. We can't do it. And even if it was just, like it's not
like the whole show is going behind the paywall.
No, and it's not just up to me either. Like, you were one of the people that was like, look, we have to do this. I mean, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So thank you for understanding. So anyways, we almost have 300 people in here. We're going to get started because we had some technical difficulties getting on here. Like I said, this thing did an update, and now it's just like, I don't know what's going on, man. It's kind of screwy. And we sat here messing with it, and it took like 30 minutes to get on.
Yeah.
So, and we don't know, we're not going to be in this studio much longer. We're going to be bouncing. And we don't really want to, but people have doxed us. And so we have to move to a location where we had a little incident here the other night. We don't know so we don't know who they are or what. I mean, I'm not going to say because we don't know. I mean, we really don't. And so we're going to leave. So, we're leaving at the end of September. So at the end of September, a lot of changes, a lot of things happening, and we're going to be moving to an undisclosed location so that, sucks, man. It sucks, but we just can't, we got to feel safe. And a lot of people have messaged me and told me, well, you're over the target. That's why it's happening. I'm like, yeah, and I am a target now. I've become a target. It's a sick thing. These people, they don't, and people do what, and they say, and they, they message me all the time. And if I don't go back and answer some of their messages, they get mad. And I'm like, look, man, do you know how many, you tell these people how much we get, how many,
and that our email fills up.
Like, whose does that? And I'll tell you this too, like the other day I was watching David Icke, and he was being interviewed by a guy, this young guy. I'm not going to say his name because that would be rude, but I don't, he had like 355,000 listeners. And I'm like, really, dude? Never heard of this guy. Never heard of him. Or he had 122,000 and then he had 355,000 views. Never heard of this kid. Never in my life have I heard of him. And I pretty much know a lot of people in this field, which is, the 40 field, and don't know him. And I was just like, how is that possible? I mean, there's a bunch of these people that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And I'm telling you, they don't have as many as we do, because if they did it correct and they grew naturally and they did it correctly, like we did, they would have numbers like we do. Or less, but they have about maybe 30,000, I would say, probably, and then they pad it with a bunch of subs that they buy, which is a big thing because almost everybody's doing that. They're bot farming all this crap, and I just won't do it. I will not do that. I want to know the real numbers. I want to have real numbers. I've said that before, and so that's it. I just want everybody to know that we don't play around over here. Reading some of the comments. So I'm going to let you guys decide. We have a couple mermaid stories that I dug up. We have a really freaky ghost, a few of them. Well, there's one I really want to tell, and it's from a nursing home in Houston, in the east side of Houston, which is really freaky, from a lady named Jasmine, who's a Creole woman from, not New Orleans. Gosh, dog, I'm trying to remember the name. Bossier City. Mm-hmm. She's from Bossier City originally, and she told me a freaky story, man. And she was fun to talk to. And then there was another one, a guy named AV. That's what he goes by. And he gave me a really freaky Dogman story. So we got some stories to talk about. I mean, so if you guys want to let me know what you want to get started with here, take your vote here. It says mermaid. Oh, mermaid.
It's overwhelmingly mermaid.
Everybody just said mermaid. Let me get two more mermaids here. Some people said ghosts, mermaid. No Dogman so far. It's just Jasmine's story. Yeah. Dogman. We'll give it a couple seconds here. Mermaid. There we go. There's half a dozen people for the mermaid. There's another one. That's 7. So this one, the one I've been chomping the bit to tell, and Anthony already knows part of this story. We went over it together, but it's crazy. Like, okay, so after the flood, okay, and I don't mean the biblical flood. I mean the one that just happened here on July 4th, very horrendous. A lot of people perished, over 100 and something people. Like the body count, it keeps growing. Like they keep, announcing more people have, and it's unfortunate. Please pray for the victims and the families. We get our money that was donated. It comes out to about $700. And that's on August 21st. And we're going to use that money that we haven't already used. We've used some of it to give to the pantries, and because most of it was pretty stocked up. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to find a charity that we can donate it to that's legit. We think we might have found one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we want to make sure it goes. You hear all these horror stories about the money not going where it's supposed to go to, and I'm not going to let your money go to waste. That was cool. You guys, you donated, you helped out. So we're going to donate that money. After YouTube takes their cut, it's about $700 something, and then we're going to throw some money in. We've already done it. And then we're going to try and give out about $1,000 altogether. So that will be happening in the 3rd week of August. So the rest of it. So what happened though, this was in the hill country and it was in an area that I'm familiar with. And the person that sent me this was, his name is Brock and his wife, right? And I'm not remember her name at the Geraldine. So Geraldine and Brock, who sent me this story, and it's a freaky thing. They went camping about 2 weeks after the flood, like not right up on the river, but close enough. And their land, her brother's land is on the river runs through like this private property. It's really pretty where they were at. It's not the main river. It's like a creek that normally just a trickle, it's like it's during the drought, but it got up full, when it was. And so something had attacked one of their newborn, these calves, right? The cows are pretty smart. I mean, they don't get enough credit. They're a lot more intelligent than you think they are. And I've been around cows my whole life. I know cows are not stupid. I've been around them my whole life. And one of the calves got attacked on its back of its right leg. And it was grazing really close to the creek. And they thought, well, maybe it fell in and it got hit by but it looked like weird. The only way they could describe it was like it was about 2 to 3 times the size of a human bite. And it was in the shape of like a fish or a human. They couldn't figure it out. They were like, what is this like kind of oval looking bite that was chunk that was taken out of the calf's leg, and it got infected. So they had to treat this. And cows, they can run you some money real quick if they start getting sick and things start happening. Thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. Especially right now. We have been going through some stuff right now. Been YouTubing. Thank you for that. So Brock said that he had to, and here's another freaky weird thing. Okay, this is a synchronicity. Before I go any further, I have to say this. The guy that introduced me to these people, his brother's name is Brock. I kid you not. I grew up with this guy. So he goes, my friend Brock has a story. When he's talking to me, at first I was kind of listening and I was like, wait a minute, your brother? Because I thought that's what he was talking about. I said, you said you called him your friend. He goes, no, it's my friend. Now, the reason I say that too is because like if it was John, you'd be like, oh, that's a normal name, right?
Yeah.
But his brother's name is Brock, right? Mm-hmm. His brother lives down the coast. And I was friends with him too. He was a little bit younger than us, but I was more friends with Ronnie. And Ronnie goes, no, not Brock, not little Brock, because little Brock is his uncle was named Big Brock, And he says, no, not little Brock. He goes, that's what we call him, little Brock. He's like, no. He goes, this guy, he lives out there in the hill country. And I said, oh, okay. So I got confused because I was sitting there listening to him talk, and I was going like, why does he keep calling his brother his friend? This is weird. So kind of like was weird when then he said his wife's name real quick, and I was like, that's weird. And so what's even more weird is that his wife's name starts with a J, right? So it sounds kind of like hers, this woman's name. So it's just weird. So I thought that he was saying her name really fast and throwing a D in there. And I was like, what? So I was like, what? Because I got confused. So like partway through this, I said, hold on, man. I said, Ronnie, you're kind of confusing me. So I wrote that down. I was like, this is weird. Like, this is a weird synchronicities. This is something, I don't know, that you can't convince me this isn't a matrix. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Because Geraldine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Brock's, well, that's his ex-wife's name. But now, and this woman's name is Geraldine.
Geraldine, yeah.
Yeah, that is weird, right? And they're about a year apart. That's so weird, right? And then the two Brocks are 2 years apart. So that was just weird. I started going through the synchronicity. So it is what it is. So here's what happened. They were grazing down by the creek, and this is what they put together. And the reason that they thought that was because with that water full, there's kind of a pool right there. That was a tank that was kind of fed off of that stream that was fed off of the main river, the Guadalupe, right? Gosh, Target, hang on one second. Hang on. All right, Anthony's taking care of it. So, so what ended up happening? There was like this little pool. He goes, it was a tank, and we kind of fed it from the stream, so we kind of dug it out. So that tank though was really deep, and when it rained, it just pulverized it, and it made it more deep, and that water ran up onto it, and it was overflowing. So for about a week and a half, the cows stayed away from that pool. But as the water receded, what Brock and eventually I did talk to him, and he doesn't know anything about this stuff. He is not into this show. I promise you, he's not watching right now. He's just like, yeah, I'm not into that stuff. Because I was talking to him about what we do, and he was just kind of going, like you could tell this rancher was not. He was really super friendly, and he was really cool. He's a big Cowboys fan, Astros fan. We get along, whatever, talking sports, guns, a little bit of history, but not the paranormal. Not having it, bro. I did get him to admit he saw a ghost when he was young. And his encounter with a ghost was pretty wacky. Not wacky as in, stupid, but it was, so he did say, yeah, I did have something happen to me years ago in a barn in Burnett when he was living outside of Burnett. And so I think it was near Granite Shoals. But so anyway, somebody says a woman named Willie. Who the hell is Willie?
What show are you watching?
What are you watching, bro? So anyway, he tells me the story, right? He says, look, he goes, this is what happened. He goes, me and my wife, we went out there with our oldest son. And he said, and he's when he says it, he goes, I'm old, I'm 51. He makes me feel bad. I'm like, really? I'm 50, dude. What are you talking about? Don't be doing all that.
50 ain't old.
Don't be doing that. That doesn't make me feel good. I don't like
Maybe
that.
like 80 is old.
Yeah, he says he's about to be 51. I'm like, you're my age. Come on, man. And so he says, he goes, I got there with my oldest son. He goes, I'm not real good at, moving around so much these days. He had a bad problem with his leg. He used to, his own words, he says, I used to fancy myself a bull rider. When somebody says that, it means their career did not work out too well. He was thrown off of a bull, and bless you. Bless you. And he was thrown off of a bull, and he broke his leg. So he never went back to that sport. It was something he was passionate about. It didn't work out. Yes, Morgan, that's a Marvin Hagler, man. That's the Brockton. That's Brockton, Massachusetts, man. That's where he was from, Newark, New Jersey, but he ended up going to, they call it in Petronelli's boxing gym, famous place, right? One of these days, I want to go on a road trip, and that's one of my bucket list things, and just hit all these old boxing gyms where all these different champions came from. I've already been to a few. But anyways, I got to make it to the Northeast before I die. I got to. So this is what happened. Like, he literally said, he goes, I was out there with my oldest son. He goes, and we're on horseback. He goes, you can't take the ATVs out there. And the horses know where they can step and where they can't. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of mushy out there. That's his words, because of the rains, the heavy rains. And he said that we're out there on horseback. He goes, when the weather's like humid like that, my leg hurts bad. He broke his femur. A really brutal accident. I mean, not accident, but the bull just really got him. He said, then I'm out there. He goes, and I noticed these weird marks on the tank, that's connected to that creek. He's like, there was this, like almost like something had legs. You could see these like kind of like footprints that were like four-toed. You could just see four toes, right? Kind of dug in, and what looked kind of like weird handprints. He goes, and you could make it out kind of like something large had been in there and pulled itself up out of there. He goes, and if I didn't know any better, I would think it was part fish, part human, just from the drag marks. Now, he did say this. He specified. He said, now I'm going to tell you this. He's like, after what we saw, and he says we, because it was him and his wife, he goes, that's when I knew that my initial thought was, creature from the Black Lagoon. You know what I mean? He said, and it was my wife that saw it first. He said she was out there and she saw something black come up out of that pool and stand up. And it was dusk. And she said that she saw it in the silhouette. And it was kind of cool that day. It was like mid-July, whatever. And he said, dude, she was looking at it. And in fact, I think it was like the day after my birthday. It was like July 15th is what I think he said. This thing comes up out of the water and it starts walking. She said that she saw something fall off of its waist. She said, and then she has these binoculars, right, that she uses because there's coyotes, hogs, a bunch of problems out there. So she goes and she grabs the binoculars and she's looking and she's like seeing this creature. She says, what I saw, She goes, it shocked me to my core. She goes, I never would have thought something like this could exist in a million years. She said it was black, all black, right? The face, she goes, where the nose should have been, there were just two holes, like a nostril. She goes, I could see with these high-powered binoculars, and she says about 150 yards out, but she goes, I had these really good binoculars, and I was looking at it. She's like, I didn't even take in the whole thing. She's like, I ran and got Brock and Roger, their son. She's like, to the oldest son, and says, hey, because he was there with his wife, because of the floods, they've been displaced, which sucks, right?
Yeah.
So they lost their home. So my heart goes out to them. So she goes and gets them, and they start looking, and they're like, what in the hell is that? So the husband doesn't see it. And her son, Roger, only saw it from the backside. It was walking away at that point, and it went back into the water. He saw it just go like that, and it was gone. The weird thing was it left something behind. When they rode out there on horseback, her and her son and her husband, they saw the drag marks, like something had been coming up out of there. And they think that they put two and two together, like this is what must have attacked the calf. One of their calves, which was a yearling, had gone missing. So that one was just disappeared. It was gone. And so when they were looking at these drag marks, they saw these little claws, and then they were just like, this has got to be, this is what we saw before. This has got to be from that thing. What they saw laying on the ground was gross. It was just disgusting. And it looked like something like a shell, like it was like kind of a round, like it split open, but it had scales on it. And it was like it was made. This is the way they said, the way that Brock described it to me was like, he goes, have you ever eaten one of those eggs, those chocolate eggs? Mm-hmm. When you take a bite, it's got that white stuff in the middle of it. And then there's just like a shell, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's made of chocolate. He said, that's kind of what it looked like. And he goes, inside of it was this goo. And it was black. He goes, and I'm not even joking. He's like, I took a stick and I poked it, and that black goo went up and grabbed the end of the stick. Like it went like that. And he just let go of it. And that was it. And so he went out there with a couple of his friends later that night to go burn it. It was gone. So that to me must have been what fell off of this being when it came up out of the water. And I'm thinking that this thing ended up in that little pool because it was trying to get out of the current. So these things could be, this is just me speculating because I don't know. And everything we think we know, we don't. But this could be something. And I'm thinking of this. And I know the veterans here at PRT, the paratroopers, y'all are probably going like, oh yeah, we already know this is the goo, right? But some people may be new to this place and they don't know. But we've talked about it before. So this is something that we have speculated on many times. I'm going to speculate again. My thought, like, what if there's like a population of these creatures, these entities or whatever, and the flooding disrupted their, because they hadn't flooded in a long time. Now, I did have a story. When I went back and I looked, I found one from Wimberley. And this is weird. Wimberley has this little thing they do. I think it's the first weekend of the month or something, isn't it? The first weekend of the month. They have like a big thing or whatever. We had some friends that used to live out there in Wimberley. And one time, I guess this was like right after the flood that happened. I can't remember what year it was. It was over a decade ago. They went and they had the big celebration. They were like, well, we're not going to let it stop us. So they had the big festival or whatever it is they do once a month. And it was several years ago. And one of the people that watches this show who actually works out in Green, Grune, that place, if you ever come to Texas, go there. There's a lot of weird stuff out there, especially out in the woods in that area. We get a lot of Dogman reports, Bigfoot, all kinds of stuff, because it's just water everywhere. It's a real swampy area. So one of our listeners reported that there was a creature that they saw when they were going through Wimberley. They're from West Texas. So, this really lush, green, hilly, rivers, everything, they're not used to that. West Texas is kind of like, it's like the high desert area or something, it's just like, it's not like it is here. It's elevated, out there. There's like a lot of, like, they call them mountains, but they're just glorified hills, basically. Yeah, some of them are kind of big, like the Chinati Mountains are kind of, But you're looking at that and you're going like, that ain't the Rockies, man. All right. I'm just saying, but there are some big hills out there, and they come here and they just want to see all of this green that they don't have, you know? So she was going through the hill country with her husband. And I don't remember I think his name was Matt or whatever, but her name is Sarah. But Sarah was like, and if I'm wrong about her husband's name, so I looked up their story. And I'll tell you what she saw. But first, let's get back to this one. And this was in this close proximity. We're talking about like maybe not even 20 miles. Like maybe I think I looked, it was like 17, 18 miles away as the crow flies. Right. Driving, it'd be about 25. But as the crow flies, I think it's about 17, 18 miles. At least that's what I figured out with the little ruler that they give.
Yeah.
You know, I was sitting there kind of going like, eyes aren't as good as they used to be, but I was looking at the map and I was like, this is crazy. So there is something there in that water. Now, 2 years ago, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Was it 2023 or 2024? It might have been last year. They caught a bull shark. They pulled it right out of that river, right there. Now, that was 11 miles from where this creature was. So if you got bull sharks, which they're coming that far inland, these are all rivers, right? They connect to the ocean, right? What's crazy is that was a baby bull shark. You'd be better off catching a grown one. Maybe just think, oh, it just got, that means that one of them bred and it had babies and they're in that water. But I think the reason we don't see so many of them is because there's other predators in there, like alligator gar, who get to be like 10 feet long. I'm not even joking. And they look nasty. Yeah. They look like prehistoric monsters. And I don't buy this bull crap where they say that they're not aggressive. I know 2 people who've been bit by them. They're like freshwater barracudas.
Is that why they have those monster teeth so they can be nice?
Yeah, you don't use them. Yeah. They're more scared of you than you are of them. Yeah. Trust us. We're professionals, right? No.
The teeth are all just for show.
Yeah, they just use them to back you off.
Yeah.
Every time I hear some crap like that or about snakes or tarantulas, oh, they're just hissing because they're scared. I don't give a crap why it's doing it. I'm scared. Okay. But I was wondering because these creatures, though, if this is a real thing, something that could be coming up from the inner earth, because we have all these places. We have this swimming hole out there. I forgot the name of it. Look it up. I want to tell people about it. It's this giant hole out there, and I forgot the name of it. If anybody from Central Texas can tell me, because I freaking put it in my mind and now it's not there, but there is a bunch of people have died diving down in there.
Is it Jacob's Well?
Jacob's Well.
Yeah,
Jacob's Well. So Jacob's Well is out there too. Now that is connected to these rivers, and some people claim that that's connected. It goes so far down, it could be hundreds of feet into the earth. And there have been people who have claimed that they have seen some really weird stuff coming out of there at night in particular. In fact, one of my friends, his girlfriend's dad was like, we were out drinking one night when we were young, and he told me some really weird stuff. The only thing about him is that he drank a lot. So you didn't know whether he was being honest or not. His name was Randy, and he was just like, and we hung out over there because they had a nice like spread, a big, bunch of land, and he would just let us hang out. We were like late teens, whatever. And he was just telling me that one time he went out there and he saw something. I can get into that in a minute too. This would be a good time to tell that. So one thing leads to another, right? So what happened with these people, they go out there and they find nothing. So Brock is kind of disappointed, and he tells his friends, he goes, I know there was something out there. And his friend Johnny was like, no, look, there's been some weird stuff lately. He had some goats. He had 17 goats, and now he's got 14. Ever since the flood, he goes, I thought maybe that they were just being like something, maybe they drowned. Something had happened to them. He's like, but we found one of them up in a tree, and we thought, holy crap, maybe the rain, the wind, everything,
Yeah.
But it was too high up. And when he went out there, because his son told him, I found one of the goats, it had been chewed up. It had been gnawed on by what looked like human mouth, but there were definitely canines. But it looked too small to be a dog's mouth, right? Mm-hmm. These ranchers can tell you what is chewing on their animals. I'm telling you that you talk to them, like the guy at Giddings. They knew that something was out there before they saw it, those guys out in Giddings. The reason they knew that was because they could tell a bobcat, mountain lion, you know, over the years, 35 years in ranching, which is a few years ago when we went out there and talked to those people, remember? So that they've been 35 years now. It's like 40 years of being out there. They already know what a coyote looks like, a coy wolf, a dog. They can tell you what's chewing on their animals, right? So these people were the same way. They're like, look, we've been out here for 42 years. His family's been out there, right? They moved there when he was like 8 years old. He said, I've been living out here forever. My dad died, 10 years ago. He's like, I'm telling you, we've lived out here. We know what's out here. And we have never seen anything like this. But like he said, there were some weird reports the last time the Guadalupe flooded. Weird stuff. There was a fish that was found out there, but by the time the entomologists or whatever, they went out there, it was already decayed so bad they couldn't tell, but it was weird. It was a 12-foot long, I want to say it was like a coelacanth looking thing, right? I saw pictures of this thing and I was like, what is that booger, man? What is that? I'll tell you right now, a lot of people go floating down that river, and I did it too when I was in my early 20s. But now all the freaky crap that they've told me, I am not taking an inner tube down there. And I almost did it a few years ago. I was going to take Nellie, and then we just decided to do something else, and we didn't do it. And now I'm like, man, you out there with
Stick to the lazy river and Schlitterbahn.
Hey, man, your feet's dangling out. Something grabs it. And to me, a perch touching my foot is a great white. I don't care when anybody
it's the same thing,
make fun of me. I don't care. You can't see it.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is.
Like you have to assume that it's a megalodon, even if it's in even if it's in a little stream, you have to assume like
at least an orca.
It's a giant squid, and we're all gonna die.
You're doomed.
Yeah.
You're just absolutely doomed.
There's no other rational response.
I tell you what really did it for me was, remember that story from that we named the lake too. It was in Vladivostok. No, what was it? Vladivostok. It was a freshwater octopus with claws. Remember, it attacked those guys at that lake in Norway. Was it Norway or Sweden? It was one of those two countries, and this thing came up and it grabbed we talked about it on the show. I don't know which episode it was. I don't know if it was the podcast or the YouTube. It's so many stories we've covered. But these guys, they told us, they were like, this thing attacked us, man. And then we did some research on it, and we found out that lake, it started with a V or a U, something like that. They had stories of this thing, and the biggest the one that people saw was 8 foot. That's big enough. That's bigger than me. I'm 6'4". I don't need an 8-foot octopus in my life while I'm fishing off of a boat. I'm sorry, I just don't, because it's not the ocean. Be like, oh, it's an octopus. That's where it belongs, right? This thing is unnatural. It's in a freshwater lake. I don't need that in my life. I'm sorry. People go, oh, you're a wussy, whatever. Go ahead. I'm a great swimmer too. Don't get me wrong. I am a hell of a swimmer. I'm a swimmer. I used to swim a mile every other day. I used to do it religiously, man. I love swimming, but I don't kid myself. And I'm a fast swimmer too. I don't ever think, well, you know what? I could outrun one of these creatures. No, you can't. No, we're made for this, not this, So think what you want, but I'm going to warn you right now, the rivers are not safe. I'm not going to sit up here and try to scare you to death, but the rivers are not safe. If you really think that you're protected by going into a river, you're sadly mistaken. No way, dude. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Somebody says, I remember surfing with great whites. Well, I'm going to put that comment on there. Yeah, Froetian, a paratrooper for sure. See, we got paratroopers, though. They're tough and unique. We have a very cool audience. And in fact, you guys got a really good compliment the other day from a very large YouTuber who was telling me that they really liked our audience, like how smart they are. And we've heard that quite a bit, And Josh had said that you guys were just top notch. He goes, you got super fans. They're really, he wants an audience like that. So that's a good compliment. But and so here's what I'm going to tell you. This thing came back. Right? It came back. And the scary thing about it is this was at night, and they heard all this commotion, and the cows were going crazy. They have a couple of hogs in the pen, and they were flipping out and making noise. He goes, we have a few goats, and they were flipping out and making noise. The dogs were barking. The cats were hissing. He goes, it was nuts. And it was raining again because it was raining off and on. He goes, so we went out there with our flashlights. Didn't see anything. The next day, Geraldine woke up. Well, she didn't go to sleep. She was up bright and early. And she didn't even wait for her husband. She just went out there and she sees this thing laying like on its back, like it's floating. She said it looks like a black person, but the nose, the hair, it had hair. Like I didn't say that. It had long hair.
Yeah.
Like normal, like black hair, just like a person's hair. And she said this thing sat up and looked at her. She goes, and it had its mouth open, kind of like that, And she goes, and the eyes. She's like, she talks like this, Geraldine. If you're listening, I know you don't listen to the show, but if you listen to it, I'm not mocking you. But she's like, Josh, that thing had eyes like a cat, like a snake. And she said it looked at her. She goes, and the eyes were bigger than they should have been on the face, a little bit bigger, right? And she said that the eyes were slitted up and they were yellow. And she said that its tongue was coming out and going back in and it was blue. Like a long tongue. She said it almost looked like a dog's tongue. She goes, and it was like coming out, going back in, coming out, And she said it was just staring at her. She goes, it was just like if looks could kill. She goes, and the nose was just like two slits.
Yeah.
And she goes, and it just like splashed and went under the water. She goes, it was weird the way it did. It just went like real fast. She goes, and then I saw the splash into the creek and it was headed for the river. And she's like, I rode my horse and then the horse reared up and she's like, he was not going to budge. Smart animal. So the horse, nope, just decided it wasn't having it. So she rode it back into the stable and she went and she told her husband, she's like, I saw it. I saw what it was. 2 days later, they saw it together. They were driving when it got a little more dry. They went out into the pasture to feed and to check. They were missing a few cattle. They found them though. So that's, they were just separated. There was like a little island that was created by the flood.
Yeah.
And there were some cows that were there bunched up by the trees. There's a lot of trees out there. So he cleared some of them out, but there's still some trees, really big oaks. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. It really, really is. I've been out there. And so they found like 4 of them all huddled together and hadn't eaten in like 2 weeks. Poor things were just damn near starved. But they just drank a lot of water and they got them, whatever. And so they got them. And as they were driving back, they were pushing them out, getting them going. Her husband was out of the truck and he was walking. The horses, were not wanting to go out there. Something was going on. And those cows couldn't get out of there fast enough. Once they got them out of that, once he let them out, they were scared to go down to the water because that was so deep, but they got in, they swam across. And then once he got them to go, they went. I know how they are. They get spooked real easy. And then he hears this screeching noise that they had been hearing for the last several days out in the woods coming from the other side of the river. He's like, and he had the binoculars on his chest and he goes and he looks and he sees that creature. What she saw when it was laying on its back in the little tank was, or spillover, I guess you would call it, was like a mermaid tail, black mermaid tail, but there wasn't scales.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like smooth.
Just like catfish, smooth skin.
Yeah, yeah. And then this guy, her husband, he sees across the river, he sees this thing come up onto the shore and it's crawling up and it's shrieking and it gets to the top and the tail like kind of just falls off into the water. And then there's these legs. Weird stuff, man. And then that was it. After that sighting and that particular, they do think that their neighbor had the predation more than them because they lost 3 goats. One of them, like I said, was up in a tree. Like it climbs trees. This thing, whatever it is. Weird thing too. Like, okay, so that's their encounter. The neighbors, I haven't contacted them and they said that they would get in touch with them. I haven't heard back. I tried and they said, well, we haven't talked to them. So they had a little more destruction on their property because they were closer to the water. And so that's just, yeah. So this is an ongoing thing. We'll have to get back to this because I don't have any more information from them. But we do have some information going back several years ago. I want to say Look it up because I don't know the exact year because I did this like 3 or 4 days ago and I don't have it committed to memory. Look up the flood, Guadalupe River, not this one here, but the one before. See if you can find the date. Several years ago, it flooded, and these people went like maybe a month after the flood, and the water had receded, but they were still. It wasn't quite a month, about 3 weeks, but it was still pretty high. And they were walking around with a lot of people around, a bunch of people, and they were walking by. They had to park like
The last one before
06 or something, or 16. What was it?
It's saying 1998, according to what I've pulled up.
Nah, there was another one. There was another one that wasn't nearly as bad as this one, but it was the water raised up pretty high. I think it was like 16 or something like that. Anyways, I may be wrong about my years, but I read this story and they were walking. Her name was Sarah. I can't remember her husband's name. It was like Matt or Mark, starting with an M. And I remember reading this, and they were walking along. You know where that overpass, not overpass. It's like a little bridge that goes from the main road off into where the town square is, where all the shops and stuff are.
Yeah.
So they were walking along that, and there were several other people that were there that saw this too. And they said there was this black-like creature that crawled out of the river, and everybody was like, "Oh, look at that. Whoa." Like, they all freaked out, and they were all running over there to look, and they went back in the water and took off. Sure enough, some guy, in her words, and this is a Texas thing, she's like, some big fat Yankee. I'm sorry, Northerners. Not my words, man. This is a Texan Southern thing. She's like, some big fat Yankee was like, it was just a catfish. And then that's me putting the Peter Griffin's typo. It's just a catfish. And
everybody from the Northeast says it sounds either like Peter Griffin or like a cartoonish Italian. It's either Joe Pesci or Peter Griffin if you live above the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
No in between.
You automatically just you're from Quahog, Rhode Island. Yeah, that's just a catfish. But we do get those kind that come down here, and they're real loud and arrogant and stuff, and nobody likes them. But they'll eventually get challenged by somebody because Texas ain't the place to come mess around. I've heard that they go to other southern states, and everybody's just kind of cool, like, whatever. I guess Reconstruction didn't really take as good here because all of the bad ne'er-do-wells came here, and you had the Comanches, and you had the Tejanos, and you had the Mexicans, and you had a lot of people who would slap the hell out of you. So a lot of the federal troops died here. They did. They came here with an attitude, and they would settle in these pockets, and they would have problems, and they would come to these forts and stuff, and a lot of these forts burned or they got whatever. And they left Texas in a hurry. They didn't stay. By 1905, there was no official federal presence here like there was. So they turned them into military bases, and they said, well, it's we're going to staff it. We're going to be in charge of them. But they quit bringing federal troops here themselves, pretty much, where they laid down all over the South. Texas was kind of like, so that's pretty much, it's crazy. So this woman, though, she says, he's like some loudmouth, and everybody just goes, oh, okay. And they started walking away. And she's like, I'm standing there with my sister, our kids, and my husband. She's like, my sister's husband. She goes, and me and my sister and my sister's husband got a good look at it. She goes, that was not no catfish. She's like, the guy that said that, he was just being, stupid because he didn't get a good look at it. And she's like, I saw it, and it looked like a mermaid, but it was black. She didn't get details on the face or anything like that. And I messaged her, and this was years ago, and there was no response. And so, whatever. But Sarah, if you're listening, message me because I'd love to do an update on this. So that's that, And so you got these weird stories, these weird encounters. I did have a little more. Like I said, my friend's girlfriend's dad. Okay, and his name, like I said, his name was Randy, and we were teenagers. I think I was 18 or something, and he would let us use his barn, and his property because he didn't care. It was actually her stepdad or whatever. And he would come out there and be like, hey, kids, you know, and he would drink, you know. And we thought he was just a cool guy, man. He was ex-Marine and he'd let us shoot guns. So it's Texas, right? You grew up in a teenager, Texas is different. And we were all out there and we had like a bonfire going. And there were some older kids there that we thought they were, you know, like, oh man, these kids are in college, man, you know, like they're in their 20s or whatever. And he was out there and he was telling us a crazy story about seeing like this mermaid type creature come out of Jacob's Well. He said, we went out there one night because back then you could go there anytime. There was no, I mean, and they would dare each other. They would jump in the pitch dark, right? And they would go out there when it was barely any moonlight and they would challenge each other and then they would dive down as far as they could and come back. That's a very, very dangerous thing. I don't suggest doing that to anyone. That or the blue hole. Look it up. You'll see the blue hole. You see Jacob's Well. Don't do that, okay? Because there's a lot of underwater caves and a lot of people have died there on both places. In fact, my friend Chris Washington died at the blue hole. He went into the water. I played football with him. He never came back up. Big African-American dude, black dude, good friend of mine. Anyways, this is years ago, but those are dangerous places, right? So he says we were at Jacob's Well. He goes, and we're walking up there, we're smoking a joint. This is him talking about this, what he saw. He gets up to the clearing where you can see, like, you know, because they're walking down this little path or whatever. And he says, we see this thing standing there. And he goes, you could see it like breathing, like moving up and down. He goes, and I kid you not, dude, it's holding what looked like a dog, which later would be confirmed as a coyote. He goes, and it throws it, and then it jumps into the hole, and it is gone. He goes, and there's like 6 of us, and we're stunned. We're just like, whoa. This is this guy, Randy, that told us this story. Or I'm sorry, well, Randall. His name is Randall, but we called him Randy. Or he went by Randy. And so Randall tells us a story, and he's just like, we stopped dead in our tracks. He goes, and then we all just turned around and hightailed it out of there. He's like, it would be 4 or 5 years before I ever went back. He's like, and I always remembered it. And then he goes, this thing was black, but it was just a silhouette. You couldn't really tell. But he goes, it looked like it had long hair, and it was just a black figure. Crazy thing, dude. One of his friends like walked up to this kid had to be high as F, or he just had brass balls. Either way, this one kid, you know, there's always one lunatic, right? In the group, we always had a couple. Wasn't me. There was people way worse than me, believe me. This kid walks up and he's like, he's just a coyote. And they're just like, yeah, something like 7 foot tall was just holding that thing. Now, here's the other thing. And I waited to tell you this. The people, Brock and Geraldine, what they saw was about 7 foot long, 7 foot tall. They estimated. See, same thing. Now, the one in Wimberley, at the river in Wimberley, don't know. I don't. I cannot confirm how tall that thing was. It was just an email, and that's all I have to go by. So, unfortunately, that's it for that. But you take it for what it is. Take it for what it's worth. And I got a million of these stories that I got from when I was younger, and I'm telling you. So the other day, I was going through, and I have a bunch of them, you know. Shout out to my brother for helping me organize these years ago, and Anthony, him both just organized the crap out of them. I could fill a book about this big with stories that I have that I probably even forgotten about because they've been so long, and we haven't even talked about them on the show. It's crazy. So I was waiting for I have one that happened to me, and I was talking about it with our field captain the other night, and she already knew it. I already told her years ago, but with Nellie, Anthony, and Maddie, and we were all on the phone with the field captain, and we were talking. We were one of the job sites doing our guard checks, and this story came up, and this is a ghost story. I'm going to jump right into the ghost stuff because this is crazy. I'm going to get into Jasmine's story too, and if we have time, we'll get into the Dogman story from Avi. Avi's got a Dogman story. This is crazy. This one happened to me directly. Now, there's a few more that I still have that I haven't really gone to or talked about because I've had a ton of things that have happened to me, and it's just weird. So we were doing an apartment complex. It was called, well, it doesn't matter what it was called. I don't want to say the name of it, but because it's not called that now, but it's still a client, so I don't want to. It's not our. If we didn't deal with them anymore, I'd say go ahead. But so we had a guard that was working there who's now deceased, and is good guy. His name was Oscar, and he worked for me for years, for like 11 years. And he reported to me that there was something weird there because there had been a fire. I did not realize that the fire, well, let's get into what happened. So there was a fire there. And what's weird is like those apartments had been burned before. I didn't know that. Now, this happened in 2012. Or no, no, it was 2013. It was in 2013, and this was in the summer of 2013, which is why we were talking about it the other night, because it was the summer. And I went over there to work it because Oscar had to be moved to Spectrum. We were doing, that's the cable provider, right? Whatever, that their building had been burglarized, vandalized, whatever. So we were doing security there. So I moved him over, and this complex was like right next door. But even though it's right next door, it was like you had to have somebody there all the time. So we were like, we could just have him do both, whatever. And I was like, and the people at the apartments was like, we don't care just as long as it's watched. And then we made the decision we couldn't, because there was homeless people, and they would go in there and they would try to steal. And if the building collapses, they could sue the company. So we decided that wasn't a good idea, because we told him we were short. We told him we were short-handed. We were going to use him to go do both. So the first night he went over to Spectrum, and he was toggling, which is going like, they're like literally they're just right next door, right? And that Spectrum has moved now. They're not the same place, but they used to be. And so he would just walk over there and check. And he says, man, he goes, I saw a woman run out of the building. That was weird to me, because I was like, dude, it's burned to a crisp, right? So I was like, there's no way. I don't believe that that's, whatever. And so I was talking to the apartment manager, and she gave me the whole story, because what happened to me is almost unexplainable, other than to say it was supernatural. There's no other explanation. So I'm doing my rounds the first night that I was there, and I thought I saw something in this car. I thought I saw a woman crying, leaned over in a car. I start to walk over to the car and ask her what's wrong, and there's nobody there. Because I'm like on the phone like this, and I think I was probably talking to you, Anthony, because you were back then, you were helping me with scheduling, stuff like that. You weren't in the position you are now, but because you cast me down, and you took my position as the.
I usurped your throne.
Yeah, you threw me down. You cast me down like lightning. You were like, you.
Your security throne.
Yes, it's such a honored position. You just had to have it. You're like, I will rule.
Well, like Game of Thrones, it's like this conniving.
That's it. Backstabbing at its finest. I taught you the Game of Thrones, and then you use it to dethrone me. Joking aside, though, yeah. So I'm walking through, and I thought I saw somebody in that, and I was on the phone with, I think you or Marty or somebody, and it was we were so slammed. We were growing really fast at that time. And so we had clients that had been with us for years, and so we were trying to cover everything, and it was just, we were blowing up. And I'm telling you folks, we have 97 accounts right now. 97. That's a lot. So I'm walking, and I see this person in the car, and I was like, hey, I'll call you back. And she was crying. And I just kind of looked down for a minute to kind of watch where I was going, because coming by that apartment, there was debris and crap, And so I was kind of stepping, and I look in the car, there's nobody in the car. So I just said, okay, it must be tripping, So the next night I was there again. I showed up, and I ate my lunch and everything, and did my rounds. I did my rounds, and then I ate lunch about 8 o'clock. I got there at 6. By 11 o'clock, it was dark, and there was a pretty peaceful place. It wasn't, but there were homeless people, because there's a creek right behind there, and they love to hang out down there and just kind of congregate. And so, oops, sorry. And so the people in the I was going to post a comment here. There it is. Lolo. Thank you. So it's not the real possibility that Oscar saw what he saw. Mm-hmm. Like, he was ill toward the end of his life, and this was way before he passed away, but he died. But he had some issues. Like, he worked, and then he quit working, and 2 months later he was gone. I mean, he was a good friend of ours, and
Yeah.
he's one of a few people who've passed away over the years. Him and Edward Ibarra, God rest his soul, they worked for us for years. Ibarra was our former field captain, and so Oscar says, he goes, I know what I saw, Wolf. He goes, I saw a woman run out of there. He's like, and I said, homeless, and he goes, nah, man. And I was like, no. And he, so I kind of, he spoke Spanish too, and I kind of asked him in Spanish, homeless, porque, he's like, no, it wasn't. It was a huilia, like a white girl, looked like, like she dressed nice. She wouldn't be running toward the homeless camp by the creek. I said, well, maybe she's on drugs. I don't know, Baracho, like maybe she's a drunk. I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out. And so he was just like, no, it wasn't like that. And he goes, it just looked like she was, And so, okay, and maybe it's not. Weird thing though. The next night that I was there, I hear this crying again. It sounds like a person crying. So even though there was this caution tape and the fire marshal had been there and he told me specifically, don't go into the ruins, I didn't go in, but I walked up to the edge and I looked in. I had my flashlight because the building could collapse, right? And so it was condemned immediately. Weird thing though, it had burned before. Bless you.
Thank you.
And the fire marshal had told me that there was a person that had died from smoke inhalation. So I thought it was weird, right? So I go in and I look, and so here's the weird thing though, and it gets weirder. I turn around and I see a woman sitting in the car, like I can see it, like a woman, like you can see her like looking, her eyes are all wide. She looks terrified. And so I walk toward the car because I'm seeing it kind of off in the distance there. And as I get closer, it's like, there's nothing there. Like it's gone. And I thought, dude, I know I just saw a person there. So the next day, I remember the woman that managed that place. She don't work for that company anymore. She actually works for another company that's over there by the former airport, by Robert Mueller, one of our accounts over there. So she's been doing part managing forever, and I know her very well. And I talked to her just the other day about this when I started thinking about it, because there was a billing issue, and so I just hit her up and I said, "Hey, do you remember?" She remembers it like it was yesterday. And so, we talked just a few days ago. So I thought I would tell this encounter. And like I said, I have a few of these, but I told her, I said, last night, because she came in and that thing, you left at 8 a.m. because you had to have somebody there to watch us, so the maintenance had to be there. It was like a fire watch, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's, whatever. They said they didn't care just as long as nothing happened, whatever. But I just thought it was best if we kept our eyes on it, And so it wasn't technically a fire watch. It was a property, whatever. But so you were there till like 8 a.m. point being, and they were pretty lenient with us, and I try to do a good job for them. That's why they're still a client. She still uses us wherever she goes. And yes, I'm patting ourselves on the back. We do a good job. She comes in and we go inside and I get some coffee and I'm really tired. And I told her, I said, I saw something last night. I don't want you to think I'm weird. And I told her what I saw, and she didn't miss a beat. She was like, mm-hmm. She goes, which car was it? And I told her it was a white Corolla, blah, blah, blah. She says that car belonged to the woman who passed away. She went to the hospital, but she passed away of smoke inhalation. And I said, really? Because the fire marshal said that somebody had died there. She goes, yeah, she's the second person from that building. Like there was another person that had died like in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's even weirder though is the description. She showed me, like, she goes, here she is on Facebook, right? It's like, I'm sitting there, I'm going like, that's not the woman I saw. So I went back, I did some research, and the woman I saw in the woman that passed away recently, that was at that time, that wasn't her. That was the woman that had passed away the 10 years before. Yeah. But she was sitting in the car of the woman that had passed. So yeah. So then it got weirder because I started like doing the research and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. And so this coming Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a show about haunted vehicles. And it's not just like you think it is. People see some weird, like off the chain, weird, freaky stuff in vehicles, dude. I'm not even joking. I got stories from these construction workers, the wall that we were doing in William Cannon. And one of the guys, dude, he jumped out of the vehicle. His name was Simplicio. He jumped out of it because something commandeered it, and it ran into, you remember, it ran into one of the buildings. And then they ended up being there like another 5 or 6 months because the building got hit by and he swears up and down. He goes, it wasn't me, but he was the third person to claim that thing had been, well, get this. I find out from one of the superintendents who now works at another company we're doing work for. I see him on the job site. He tells me, he goes, that vehicle? He's like, a person died in that vehicle. Well, he didn't die in the vehicle. He this is weird. People that were watching said it looked like he fell out or that he was pushed.
Yeah.
And he got crushed. And ever since then, they've had problems with that vehicle. He said that guy, Simplicio, was the third person that complained of that. They didn't fire him for it. He goes, dude, it was an accident. But he goes, but it wasn't me. Like there was something. And he told us all that he was convinced that there was something that had commandeered that vehicle. Another guy claims that there was this spirit that looked like a freaking werewolf that he would see in his wife's car. But it only appeared after his wife's death, which is really bizarre. And so you have these weird vehicles that people are like, saying, hey, I mean, there's something to that. I don't think just buildings are haunted or land is haunted. I think vehicles can be haunted too. So those stories are going to be told soon. There was another one that we did. We remember we were working at, God, this was weird. Me and Nellie kept seeing somebody, not Bell's. What was that kind of, not thrift store, but it was like Mervin's, or what was that one? It was over there by the Mongolian Grill.
Oh,
I'm trying the name of it.
Burlington?
Nah, was it No, it wasn't Burlington. It was Ross. Yeah. We did a bunch of those. I shouldn't have said it. I mean, I know, but it's whatever. But we did those all the time. And you and Tony and Score, everybody hated them.
Yeah,
I hated them.
I
had to stand there for 9 hours, and I just kept I would just be there for an eternity, and I'd look down at my phone, and like 30 minutes passed. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like I could have paid for all my sins in hell by the time this is done. This is crazy, but I was just like, good grief. I finally said, I am not doing this. I don't care if they pay me. Well, I'd pay me $1 million. I'd do it. But if you're paying me like enough to buy a new house, I'm not going to, I couldn't, my back would hurt because you just got to stand there, man.
Yeah.
And then we did Ulta. And even Ulta was not as boring as Ross.
Yeah.
Ulta, at least you could go and sample the cologne. You could kill 30 minutes to an hour, something,
Ross was like a punishment.
It was the punishment account, right? It was just like, oh, really? I'm going to send you to Ross.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to do Ross. People would be like, please. And then they'd quit. Yeah. We had people that quit. They would just quit because they didn't want to work it. So it was so bad. The manager, she was a nice lady, but her boss was so horrible. He would come up there and just be like, why are you not on your post? He would talk just like that. And he had these humongous I'm not even going to get into it, dude, but it was ridiculous. So me and Nellie were there one night, and the night shift was easy because you just sat in the parking lot, right? So you'd work for 2 hours and you sit in the parking lot, and Nellie would go with me. And so we would just take turns crashing out. As long as somebody's awake watching it, they're just worried about the exit and the entrance. That's it. So we would just sit there. And I remember one night we saw somebody sitting in an SUV. We saw we kept thinking we saw somebody, and I got to look, and she's like, there's a woman in there. And there was nobody there. As we got closer, it would be like nothing there. And you're just like, what in the heck is that? So that SUV sat there for like a week. And I think it was Tony. No, I know it was Tony. Tony's not in the chat. I don't know. You want to check on him?
He was earlier. But
Tony, if you listen, I know you remember this because Tony asked the manager whose vehicle that was. They said, oh, it was a former employee, but she passed away of cancer. And that vehicle just sat there, and they were trying to get a hold of her family to come get that vehicle. And I didn't tell Nellie because I want Nellie freaking out.
Yeah.
So Nellie was like, why is that Cherokee there? It's always there. It's like, and I said, you know what? Somebody just left it there. But it was because the person passed away, sadly. I didn't know her. I didn't know anything about it. But it was crazy. I was just like, dude, this is nuts. Like these vehicles can be haunted. I mean, I'm telling you. So next Wednesday, we'll be talking about the Dogman in the vehicle. That's a freaky, that dude, I wouldn't want to be him for nothing. That dude, he's still haunted by it. And that story's in depth. It's not, we might just have to tell his as the whole story, because it revolves around the vehicle, but it's not just the vehicle. There's more to it than that. And then the vehicle that was commandeered over at the job site, that was freaky. I talked to him, let's see, I talked to Simplicio about 2 months ago, back in like, well, no, it's, what is this, August? Okay, it was May. That was May. But he told me about it. He says, man, I'm telling you, man. He goes, people think I'm lying because I just want an excuse. He goes, I would have just said, dude, the thing was faulty or something. He goes, no, dude, there was something that like literally took over. And I said, do you think it's the guy that died? He says, I don't know what it is, who it was, what it was. But the guy before him got fired because that thing came on by itself and was moving. It was just rolling. And the guards, you know, they were there. They saw it. So you're just going like, I mean, you know, one of our guards actually got up in there and stopped it. And shout out to him. I mean, Brian, he stopped it, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, dude. So you have all this weird stuff that happens at these job sites. And I'm telling you, I think vehicles, they can be haunted. The weird thing about that place that I worked at, you know, that's happened to me a few times, man. Here's another one I have. We were working, you remember Zilker?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that have seen things there. We had a guard that used to work there for us. He doesn't work for us anymore. And I'm not going to get into his name or whatever, because he's been in and out of the hospital. And so, yeah, I'm not going to say anything about him right now. I'll pray for him. He's got some issues. But he swore up and down that he shined a light, that he saw two guys sitting in a car. They were playing music. It was loud and he could hear it. So he shined his flashlight. He's walking towards them. And then I realized, you know this story already. He goes, the light was going through these two guys, mm-hmm. through their heads. And he was like, he turns the light off and they're gone. And he's like, oh. Now, at this point, if you're a normal business owner, you're going to be like, you're taking a drug test, right? Dude's not on drugs. I've known this guy for 20 something years. Phil Captain tells me, and she's been on the show, she actually died during childbirth. I don't know if you guys remember, her name was Kim, and she lived. And so she has this, she can see through the veil. I believe that. That's my opinion, because she knows when a site is haunted. Anthony, if I'm lying, she will sit there and tell us that account is haunted. And she'll tell you specifically, it's this, this, and this, and it's at that account. It is in these buildings, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, when you go in there, you will feel stuff. You'll know that there's something there. It will really be there. It's like palpable, right? It's like palpable. Palpable is in like it's tangible, right? It's just, so this is what she told me. I said, hey, I called her immediately and I said, that's on your route. What do you think about this place? And she told me flat out, she goes, it is haunted as hell. For sure, 100%, it's haunted. She goes, what he's talking about is totally correct. So then me and Nellie were there one night. We were checking on the guard, who was Stefan at that time. He's been on the show. You know Stefan. He's a good friend of ours, a real good friend of ours. And straight up, man, he was telling us that he saw some weird stuff. I'm not going to get into too much. We saw something. We saw a guy walk through. We thought there was a door right there because I hadn't worked that account before. I'd only been there for like an hour one time waiting for the guard, who was Tony, because he had to show up from another site, whatever. It's just part of being a company owner, whatever. We saw somebody walk, and I said, where does that go to? And Kim's like, what do you mean? I said, we just saw a person. Nellie saw it too. We were just like, I just saw it. And Nellie says, I saw it too. And it was like a gray coat or something, And she goes, oh, don't worry about it. That's a ghost. And the guard that worked for us at that time, who, like I said, has been out of the hospital, he said, that's what I saw down in the bottom level, was a man in a gray coat. He was going down there. When he turned the corner, he saw somebody walk. His headlights went through him. So we have this guard that sees this. And then after that, we had 3 more guards, Scorpion, Stefan, and Tony, who all saw something that looked kind of like that. And then me and Nellie saw it. And I said, that's a ghost. I was like, I just look like a real guy. So I didn't believe it. I walked up there. I said, this guy had to have gone through an exit door. There was no door there. And the guard that was there with Tim, they just kind of smiling like, yeah, I saw it like it was a person, like a real person. So that's just a weird thing. That particular site. And apparently there have been some issues at that site for a long time. The company that was there before, I know the guy who had that company. He recently retired. He's a pretty nice guy. He had a company that ran that place. And in fact, he gave us that account as he was starting to kind of semi-retire. And then he decided to keep going for a while. And then he retired officially. He gave us that site. Said, here, take this. And he introduced us to the people, whatever. He told me straight up, that he goes, and he's an old cowboy, kind of, Texas is like everybody's a little bit cowboy, I guess. But he was like, he goes, man, that place is haunted as hell. And you wouldn't expect this guy chewing plug tobacco to just tell you straight up, like, good luck. There's a lot of weird stuff in that place, man, and there is. You should have read some of the guard logs there. Everybody that worked it saw something. So anyways, there's that. And like I said, stay tuned on Wednesday. We'll be talking about some freaky stuff. So what else do we got? Do we want to hear another ghost story, or do you want to hear a Dogman encounter? We got Avi's Dogman encounter. God, there's so many different stories we got. Take a vote, guys, in the audience, what you want to hear. He says, Josh sounded a little Asian when he said, I did? This place is haunted? Is that the stereotypical sound? Is that what you're looking for?
It's haunted as hair.
Yeah, it's haunted as hair. He sounded like the mayor of Toronto, like Ben Bankus.
Yeah.
My elbow is dripping from the 18th father shot. Yeah, he just roasts that lady.
I think it's overwhelmingly Dogman story.
Dogman, because now you're spoiled, and you got the ghost story, you got the mermaid, weird whatever that is going on down there. The Dogman story. This one is not like a huge, long, involved story. If you look at it from the surface, which a lot of podcasters do, a lot of YouTubers, a lot of authors, they do that. They'll just be like, blah, 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 that's it, We here at PRT, we pride ourselves on giving you the whole story, the whole enchilada, right? The real McCoy. What you got to look at. This guy saw something when he was 8 years old. He didn't see it again until he was 19. 11 years. Is that your back?
Yeah.
That was so loud, dude. You popped your back. It was like,
yeah.
Geez, you're over here doing like chiropractor work on yourself. He saw something when he was 8 years old. And then according to him, he had nothing happen to him for 11 years, right? Then I asked him, I said, okay, by nothing, do you mean you didn't see a Dogman for 11 years? He says, yeah. Mistake. Rookie mistake. If you're really trying to research this and you're trying to investigate, remember, find out. Because a lot of people don't believe that alien abduction, ghosts, Dogman, Bigfoot is all connected. It is. Trust me. When I asked him about that, I said, can you clarify what you may have seen? He's like, well, it wasn't a dog. I said, I don't care that it wasn't a Dogman. I said, just tell me what else has happened to you. He told me like 20 something things. So I can't give you all of that. I would like to go back and tell you whatever, but I'm just going to tell you what he saw when he was 8. Then there was all this paranormal activity. Hatman, when he was like, I think 15 or something like that, it walked into his room, made some weird noise. And then, hang on one second, folks. I got a call from work. Okay. All right. So that was just a guard asking the question because their shift starts at 10, and then it's what it is. So he had this weird Hatman experience when he was 15. Now I'll tell you that one because I think that this was I think it's those two in particular are connected. He moved out of that house, or he moved into the house that he saw the first one in when he was 14, right? When he was 8 years old, he saw something. So I don't think it was the house because he saw this again when he was 18, and it was a terrifying encounter. When he was 8 years old, and now this is weird because my wife, her and her sister saw something, and I've told this story on Dogman Encounters radio, and that's how me and Nellie met. She says, "Hey, I have a story to tell you." And when she was telling me this story, I'm like, "You're crazy, lady," and I hung up. But she thought I was hot, right? Because she stalked me on Facebook, so she kept bugging me. She was just like, "You're really good looking," and I was like, "Whatever." And I kept like blowing her off, and I'm just like, I'm a merciful dude. Even though I'm pretty stunningly good looking and everything, I give normal people a chance. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know what? I threw my phone in the air, and if it on the bed, and if it landed face up, I was going to call her back. It did. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to call this broad. I'm like, yo, what's up? Yeah, this is Josh Turner. Yeah, I'm the one that does the stories and does them really good. What do you want? You got a story? And then she sounded so nice that I was merciful as I just kept talking to her. She knows it's true. I was just like, like I was, lowering myself. You know what I mean? But I'm kind like that. Right? Because before I met Nellie, I was one of those guys, even though I was really hot, I was one of those hot guys. It was like, I would see a girl that was like lonely or sad, and I'd be like, "Oh, pobrecito, she's lonely," because I'm nice. Mm-hmm. She needs love too, right?
Yeah, you'd be like, she could really use a guy like me.
Yeah, so I'd give them some love temporarily, only on loan for a little bit.
Charity.
And I had to move on to the next person because there's a lot of women that need love. You gotta spread the love around. And then I couldn't have just one woman hogging it all, right? So, but Nellie, Nellie needed a lot of love. Like she came down here she went from being a stalker to living here, and it just that changed everything. I couldn't get rid of her, Like I bought plane tickets and like set them down on the nightstand as a joke, and I was just kind of like, "Oh, look, there's plane tickets. Look, there's a first class plane ticket back to where you came from. How did that get there?" Oh, and she was just like ignoring it. She's like, And so, yeah, eventually I just said, you know what? I'm just going to marry you. It's all right. It's cool. It's whatever. I have fun. So, But yeah, those days are over of her helping all the females and giving them love and stuff and trying to help them reconnect with life and everything. It's all right, man. I know all you ladies are looking at me like, I wish I could be with this guy. I know. But Nellie is in the way. Sorry, folks. You just can't. Nothing you can do about it. Is what it is. Yep. So, anyways, Nellie's watching the show going like, I'm going to kill this dude. Folks, if something happens to me, you know that my wife did this, but I asked for it. I admit right now beforehand. John
Maddox says, enjoy the couch.
Nellie B, you're my heart. You know that. I'm just kidding with you, girl. Don't. This is them's jokes. Them's jokes. Ha ha ha. Okay. Jeez. In this skit, she's already going to kill me. Jeez Louise. But no, I look at this situation though, like very similar to my wife's, because what this guy told me, what Avi told me, and that's the name he wants to go by. So fine, whatever. I don't think that's his birth name, but anyway, Avi said that this thing came out of the wall. He was 8 years old, and him and his friend were sitting there playing video games. Get this, man after my own heart here. He was playing Castlevania, Simon's Quest. So he says, I don't know how familiar you are with that video game franchise. I'm like, are you kidding? I said, dude, I would whoop some ass at that guy. I love Castlevania. So anyway, he's this dude. Playing the game, he goes, me and my friend, he goes, I kid you not, he goes, we look over and we see this thing come out of the wall, dude. And he goes, it looked like Anubis, like an Anubis type. He goes, it had big, long ears, whatever. He said it's black, and there was this like kind of a weird looking like whirlwind going up to its neck. It was kind of like, and he's sitting there and he's like, dude, it's crazy. I'm staring at this thing. He goes, and my friend's seen it too. And he goes, we're just kids. And we're like, what is this? And we were taking turns. It was a 1-player game, right? Mm-hmm. But he said that we were taking turns playing, and he goes, and we're trying to beat it. He goes, and we just freaked out. We screamed. He goes, and my stepdad and my mom came running in there. He said, my stepdad is really cool. He's actually our baseball coach when I was a kid. He goes, he's usually a really cool, level-headed guy. He's like, what the shit? Comes in there. He's like, we're living in Tennessee at the time, right outside of Nashville. He's like, and this your stepdad comes and he's like, what the shit? Why are you screaming? I got to work in the morning, boy. And he's like, and he goes, my friend forever was, he goes, we've been friends forever. He goes, he's still scared of my dad to this day. He's like, he's terrified of my dad. And he goes, my stepdad is a really nice guy. He's not a bad guy at all. He goes, my mom was like, boys, what is going on? He's like, we just saw a werewolf. We saw a werewolf. Bunch of weird stuff happened in that house. He thought, oh, this house is haunted, right? Either it followed him or he was haunted, because he moves into another house when he's 15 years old. And sure enough, as soon as the first few months he was there, he's like, well, he was 14 when and then he turned 15 in the house. A couple months after his birthday, he goes, I see this Hatman, which at that time I didn't know what it was. Never, ever spoke. He goes, but the first time I saw this, he called it bastard. He goes, the first time I saw this bastard, I woke up. He goes, and I would sit there tossing and turning. I get up the next day for school. He goes, I could not focus. People thought I had ADHD. He goes, I did not. He's like, they misdiagnosed me. He goes, I ended up like flunking, not doing good in school. He's like, I did really bad. I would flunk at tests, anything. He goes, if this guy showed up, he goes, and the first time he showed up, it was like the beginning of like a little short series of like every few months. Mm-hmm. He goes, he would show up, and if I had a test or if I had anything at all to do, he goes, I couldn't do it. He's like, I couldn't do simple multiplication in my head. It was just like, I couldn't do it. It was like, this guy was just disruptive. And he said, then I was 18. He goes, and I was walking through the woods. There was a trail that went from this little store up to the trailer park where we were living at that time. He goes, because my dad lost his job and we were living in a trailer at that time. He goes, so they moved from that place when he was 17. They moved into the trailer, right? And he goes, we were there for about a year and a half. He goes, there was a trail right there. He goes, and it was like a Walmart. I think he said it was like a Walmart or something, but he said you could walk from the back of it right there, right? And I don't quote me on that, but I think that's what he said. And he said that I was walking through there one time. He goes, and I picked up some bad habits. He goes, I was smoking a cigarette. He goes, and my cigarette just goes like somebody had like put it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and I'm looking at it, and he goes, and I'm like, what the heck? He goes, and I was real into heavy metal, right? He's only a few years younger than me. He's like, I was real into heavy metal. And I'm like, so I said something out loud. I was like, why don't you show yourself? He goes, and then I heard like footfall and twig snapping. He goes, and I see this thing come out onto the trail. He's like, I shit you not. His exact words, he goes, it's a freaking werewolf. I said, oh, shoot. I was like, was it like, he goes, no, it was not like the first one. He goes, this one was like a weird bluish color. He's like, and maybe it was just by the light of the moon, you know, it gave it that blue pallor. He's like, but it was right there. He goes, and then he goes, it got down like in this runner stance. He goes, and I turned and I could see the lights from the store. He's like, I just ran back toward the parking lot. He goes, and when I got to the parking lot, I came out into the park. There was lucky for me. He goes, there was a person turning and it almost hit me. And I was like, lucky for you. So I said, Avi, you ran into the parking lot, and lucky for you, you almost got hit by a car. He goes, well, it was an SUV. And I was like,
even better.
That doesn't make it any better. That confirms you're going to die even more. He goes, dude, you don't understand. He goes, I looked back and I saw that werewolf kind of standing there. It was smirking, looking at me. He goes, and I turned around. He goes, and he goes, the people were there. He goes, I was still holding my cigarette, and I threw it and was just like, you know, and he goes, I went up to the window, and the lady just looked at me like she was terrified. He goes, I need some help. And she just like backs up and drives away from me. He goes, so I just ran to the front of the store, and I was looking back the whole time. He's like, so I go inside. He goes, I didn't have a cell phone. So he goes inside the store, and he goes to the customer service. It's not that late. It's like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. He says, and it's like the fall, right? He says, and I call, and my stepdad says, I'll be there. You know, don't worry, son, just be there. He goes, my stepdad had been raised since I was 4 years old. That's what he told me. He says, stepdad comes, get this. They get in the car, or his dad had a Bronco, not the kind they have nowadays, or whatever. But he said he had a really jacked up Bronco. Yeah. Dad worked as a mechanic. And he says, my dad always had really cool cars. He goes, and we're driving, and my dad goes, where was it? And he goes, I go, right over there in that trails. He said, my dad just goes up onto the curb and starts driving through the woods and goes through that trail the back way. And he's looking around, and he goes, he got his window down. And I'm like, Dad, roll your window up. There's a werewolf out here. He goes, are you out here, werewolf? He goes, my dad stops just in view of the trailer park and gets out and starts running around with a machete, hitting the trees and stuff and acting crazy and screaming and yelling. Because then he gets back in the Bronco and he's like, ain't nothing out here. There's nothing out here. So then they drive up to the house. He's like, and then we get out of the vehicle. He goes, go on in, son, go on. And he goes, and my dad's standing outside. Get this. This is one of those like aha moments, right? He says, I go inside and he goes, I'm looking outside. He goes, my little brother comes up. He goes, he has a little brother that has Down syndrome, right? And he says, my dad's a very patient guy, like to raise both of us. He goes, but my little brother's real good natured. He doesn't cause a lot of problems. He says, they're looking out the window. He goes, and my little brother's like, look. And he's like, he sees it. They see these yellow glowing eyes. He goes, and then he's like, my stepdad standing with his arms crossed, trying to look all tough, whatever. He goes, he's not a real big guy, He opens the door and he's like, Dad, get inside. And then he goes, oh, shit. And he sees it and he runs inside. And he closes the door. He's like, his wife comes out and all three of them are talking at one time. And he goes, my mom's just going like, She's sitting there like hair and curlers, aggravated as hell. She had been really, this is his words, been kind of bitchy because of them having to live in this, and whatever. And she was just like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, his dad was like they were trying to convince her. He's like, so we're sitting there and she had made some spaghetti and they were eating. And he goes, we're sitting there eating dinner and nobody's eating. He goes, not me, my brother. He goes, my cousin who was staying there, she was staying there too. Nobody's eating. Finally, the cousin was like, what did I miss? Because she had just come home from work. And she's like, they say that they saw a werewolf. And she rolls her eyes. And he's like, Mom, this is the second time. She goes, oh, yeah, you and your buddy, y'all saw one when you were 8. She's like, yeah, okay. She goes, well, I could believe that more because, this is funny. She's like, I can believe that more because you hadn't smoked a bunch of pot like you do now. And he says, to my credit, he goes, I was not stoned because I was broke. So he sound like my brother. He's like, I can tell you right now, I was broke.
Yeah. So I wasn't stoned.
He goes, I was not stoned. He goes, I'd been sober for about 2 weeks. He goes, I was looking for a job. And I was like, did it ever dawn on you to work at the Walmart? He says, no. I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm kidding about that last part. But he says, look, he's like, we were convinced. He goes, and my stepdad, he goes, he started going out to the edge of the woods and watching every night, dude. He goes, I don't know how he did. He would sit there in his Bronco, this jacked up Bronco, and like just sitting there watching, right? And he didn't see anything. And he goes, for years he would talk about it. He goes, you saw what I saw, right? We all saw it, right? He's like, and I don't know what it was, what was there. He goes, so the theory that his stepdad became obsessed with it, and he said it was almost a year later, his mom, they had moved, right? They moved to this place that was about 1 acre of land. And they bought that place, and the rest is history. He's about 2 miles up the road from that trailer park. He goes, we got out of there. We don't live there no more. He's like, and we're living up the road. And he said that place, it was like some weird stuff happened there too, but he wasn't living there anymore. He had moved out when he was like 18. He stayed there briefly and then that was it. And he said, he goes, so my parents got their act together, whatever. He goes, they were doing this, like, we're going to separate. We're going to get a divorce thing going back and forth. And he said that they got their shit together. Right. Excuse my language. And so then he says that she was driving home. She comes in with a bag of groceries and she's just like, I saw a werewolf. I just saw something run across. It was a gravel road, right? She goes, I was driving past the old trailer park and something ran across the road chasing a cat. She goes, and it stood up on its hind legs and then went back down. Real brief, right? But he goes, it confirmed what I had already believed. That this was, So his stepdad had a theory that there was a guy that lived on the edge of that trailer park who had been there for like 13, 14 years. And he believed that he was a werewolf. Like he literally, he goes, my stepdad to this day, he goes, he believes that that's what that was. That there was this guy. He figured it out, right? But there's a whole story behind that too. His stepdad saw it a couple more times. And I'm gonna eventually, I haven't talked to him, but I'm going to talk to him. And we will figure out, like, maybe, what the heck it is that he saw. If anybody has any questions or any comments you want to make toward the show or whatever, thank you to those who donated. We got about 10 more minutes and then I got to bounce.
Wait, so the mom, did she ever come around to believe in at least the stepdad?
Yeah, because she saw it herself, but it was
Okay.
about a year. Well, not quite a year later, she saw it.
But it took that for her to believe.
Yeah, she didn't believe it before that. She was just like, y'all full of shit.
Like the kids and her
Yeah,
husband.
she didn't believe it. And, you know, and her thinking was like, and this is what she said. And I didn't want to get into all this, but 80 did tell me something that was kind of funny. He said that one day she goes, y'all are seeing these demons and where, because there was other stuff too that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks there was witchcraft going on in that trailer park, but like in a way that was like they were summoning stuff, right? But his stepdad believed that at least the werewolf thing was a man. So she goes, I'm going to be honest. She goes, he's special needs, his brother, because his brother saw it more than once too. She's like, and you're a pothead. She's like, and stepdad, she goes, he's emotionally distraught, you know? So she's like, yeah, y'all are all just, you know, mass hallucinating. And then when she saw it, she comes in freaking out, and his cousin, a female, I don't know her name, but she said that his cousin was like, yeah, you were telling everybody they didn't see what she said. And eventually she saw it too. So, yeah. So if you take all these people's encounter together, and I only talked to him and his, you know, story, whatever, and we'll get your story out there, Jasmine. I know you're in the chat, but we'll tell yours. Don't worry. We just got to, I looked at the time, and I don't have time. I have to start cutting these down to 2 hours. I can't go 3 hours anymore because it's just cutting into work. Work has been crazy. So folks, do yourself the favor now and become a member. Become a member. And if you become a member, you can, Rita says, trying to send a super chat tells me to try again. What in the heck? What's going on with that?
I'm going to post the PayPal link.
Yeah, just use the PayPal link or whatever. If it's messing up, you know, do what you got to do. Just go send it to PayPal. That's better anyway, because they don't take 30% out. Become a member, folks. Get your name in green, because starting in September, the first week of September, the what is it called? Pre-records will be members only. We don't know what else to do with the member thing. We can't do the giveaway for it because we have to do something, you know, but we're still going to do the giveaway. So if you haven't won, whether your name is in green or not, just tell me, hey, I haven't won, get me something and we'll send it to you. Let me give you the information here. Giveaways at prtpodcast.com. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. John Sablon, old school paratrooper there. What's up, buddy? He's just getting here. You're just getting here, reporting for duty, paratrooper. What are you doing? Thank you, Quack. Quack's paying his cult dues. Where are the rest of y'all? You're not paying your cult dues?
Not just any cult dues, but the stoner cult.
This is the cult dues, man. Stoner cult dues.
We're seeing all these things because
we're just all stoned up in here. We're all just like, yeah, man, I was abducted, man. It was so cool. Yeah, then it wasn't, because they began to probe me.
I was stoned and all this stuff happened with the mermaids, bro. Whoa, man, you too.
You too. Chase.
I remember reading about this guy who got swallowed by a fish, dude. He was in there for like 3 days, man.
So Chase Thompson says, hey, I have not won yet. Well, Chase, you just did. Okay. So you're going to need to send your name, your real name, or whatever name you go by to get your mail, your address, and your shirt size. Yes. And send it to the giveaways at prtpodcast.com. Giveaways, prtpodcast.com. Get your name in green, folks, because you will be able to watch the shows. You'll be able to help out the show, and you'll get the members-only content that's coming out in September. Like I said, man, it's been well over 6 years. We started this in April 2019 on my mother's birthday, April 13th. And here we are in 2025, and we're just now doing paywall. You know, so whatever. So here we go. Who else do we got? I'm going to let you pick the next one.
We got a guy named Matt Stoyanov. Is that how you say your last name? Says he's never won.
No, Matt, you just did. Oh, we got a Paul Williams up there. Says I haven't won.
We just
6
mailed
months
off.
ago, but didn't receive. He said he didn't receive. Wait. He says 6 months ago he didn't receive it.
You know what, Paul? Send your information again to the email address scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
Tell us what you didn't win. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, make sure that and if it was a shirt that you want to please make sure to send your shirt size, and we'll get that sent out to you along with your mailing address.
Daniel Nunez is the next one. It says I haven't won. So right below Matt. Is there anybody we missed up there? Yeah.
Thank you, Rita. She just made a $100 donation to a PayPal.
Danny Fowler. Thank you, Rita. Rita's salt of the earth.
Very generous.
Danny Fowler says, I get paid on the 29th. I will need some help doing the subscription. Okay. Danny, you got my information. We've talked before. I think you've sent me stories too. Just hit me up on, you know how to get in touch with me. Paulette Olivares, you're another one here.
Thank you for that, Amy.
Thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. So Daniel Nunez, you're going to be the next winner, Daniel. And Stanfield says, I want to win. Stanfield, have you won before? I don't know if you've won. But if you don't win tonight, guys, tomorrow is Monday, and we got the open lines, and people come on and tell their crazy encounters and stuff. We get some for 3 weeks in a row, we had somebody telling vampire encounter. 3 weeks in a row. It was like, the last one we got was about a month ago, but it was like up to that. It was like boom, boom, boom. There was somebody in the thing telling us vampire encounters. It's crazy. And right after somebody had knocked us saying, oh, nobody's telling them. They're just, whatever. And I'm like, and then 3 people's like, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, bull crap. I mean, and, of course, it's speculative too. Some people will say, well, this was a vampire. I don't know what it was, a flying humanoid, whatever. The lady that saw that had the thing that looked like the Lost Boys of feet, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They were like, well, that's a flying humanoid. That's not a vampire. I didn't say it was a vampire, but I said, what was it? I mean, what was it? If it wasn't vampiric, I mean, it was something that looked like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, and folks, one of the biggest rewards for me is if you think I'm doing a good job here, you think Anthony, he doesn't do a good job, but if we're if we're up here and you think we're killing it, leave us really good comments. Please hit the like button.
Yes.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends to like and subscribe. That's the best thing you can do. If you can't afford to help out with whatever, don't help out. Fine. Help out with other ways. Like and subscribe. And leave good comments and let me know that we're doing a good job. If we're killing it, we're killing it. If we're not doing good, then say, hey, look, man, hit me up and say, you're a bum. I won't listen to you because I know I'm not a bum. But,
As a matter of fact, don't hit us up at all with that. Just make your exit quietly.
Yeah. Well, you can message me and tell me why you think I'm a bum, and I'll take it into consideration. Danny says, yeah, my wife has a crazy witch. Send it to me. There's a lot of people in here I've talked to before who sent stories and stuff. And if I haven't gotten to yours, there again, you can just hit me up again under Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com, Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Say, hey, Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Said it again. I'm going to send you the story. I've sent it again. I'm sending it before I send it again. I'm going back and forth with several people right now trying to get them all put together. It is what it is. At any given time, I'm trying to do a bunch of them. So if you didn't win tonight, we're going to do a giveaway again tomorrow, and we're going to do it again on Wednesday, right? So, and then our new time slot on Thursday at 7 p.m. for the pre-record. Now, remember, the pre-record starting in September, they're going to be members only. So join and become a member, and then it's only $5, man. I mean, it's $5, and you get 4 to 5 extra shows a month, right? And then we're going to be doing an extra show starting in September for the first month. Like it's going to be September, October, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do it Patreon or whatever it's called. It's going to be on Patreon. Hey, Jamie, or Jaime, as we say. I'm over there at Abe's chat all the time. I was there all weekend, like coming and going. Abe's show is called Spiritual Encrypted Encounters with Abe Cius. Go check it out on YouTube. He goes late at night, and I often am in the chat, or I'm around there doing whatever. And you guys, sometimes I'll jump on and interact with them. And Jaime's one of the people who always jumps on there. Nevia's Angel, she's another one that's always in the chat. Rain is always there. Shout out to all you guys. We got to come up with a name for Abe's people. Like, you got the Blondes and Boos have the boosters.
Mm-hmm.
We have the paratroopers. Hellbent Holler has the Hellbenders. That's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
We got to find one for Abe. We got to do Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. What would that be?
You have to workshop that one.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure it
tough.
out. Yeah. I know. I thought of a term the other day.
Babes.
Abe's babes. I thought I had found a new term, and then somebody put it in a meme, and I was like, dude. So you know how there's these philanthropists who are just really like sociopaths?
Yeah.
So I thought of philanthropath. And I thought I had thought that up, but then I saw somebody yesterday post it, and they said a philanthropath, and it had Bill Gates on there. And I was like, dang it. They took it from me. I wanted to be the one that came up with philanthropath. So I got very mad, and I started punching walls because I have an anger problem, like a petulant child. You know how it goes. Abe Slayers.
Abe's Army.
Abe's Army. Yeah, there you go. He's former Army, right? He had like the other night, we had like 4 or 5 people. We were all Hispanic males. I'm half, but and we were all on there, and it was like a panel of whatever of Latinos.
Starfield says spiritual encrypted stranglers.
Stranglers. We got to come up with Spirit Samurai. I don't know. I don't know. We got to talk to Abe about it. See what he says. Abe's Army. Abe's Amigos. We'll figure it out. Abe's Army sounds good. He's been getting quite a bit of people in there. He's not quite breaking 100, but he's getting like 60, 70 people in there, and it's a good time. He really does a good job.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And Hellbent Holler's been killing it, dude. I mean, they got that new documentary.
I knew they would.
Blondes and Boos. I always like watching Blondes and Boos. They've had some really cool guests on lately, man. Like no bullshit, man. They've been doing really good. And I always like BMR. But I hang out in those chats some. You'll see me in there. A lot of times I'm just quiet because I don't want to say anything and just disrupt or whatever. But sometimes I'll just say something. Hey, what's up? I guess I should at least say hi when I'm in there because, a lot of times I'm listening to it and I'm doing work and stuff. And it's just kind of in the background. But I do listen to their shows, and here lately they've all had some pretty killer guests on, so they've been doing a good job. Blondes and Boos is very underrated. I mean, they got some people to come on there, but I'm really into the ghost thing too, though. Like a lot of people think it's just a cryptid. I'm not cryptid based. I'm ghost, cryptids, alien abduction, because I'm very into the spiritual, whatever. That's what I like about Abe's is spiritual and cryptid encounter, because that's what it is, So, yeah, exactly, Okami. Yeah, Abe puts in work. He says he's live almost every night. Yeah, he is. Yeah, thank you, Rita. Rita says she listens while she's at work. And Amy Creel says Chris and Brandy are some hardworking gals too. They are.
Oh yeah.
So thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody who showed up. Sorry I can't stay on for like 3 hours tonight. I gotta go, gotta work, gotta make the money. Credit's no good because the job was running the shops in my neighborhood. Think you can cook? I got a grappling hook. Let's make this quick because I'm really booked. You know that song? Anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody? I'm not you. I'm talking about the people here. I'm not talking to you. Do y'all know that song? Do you know who sings that? If you can tell me what song that is, you'll win a prize. How about that? The next person. Nobody knows?
Might be one person.
Maybe. My backpack's got jets.
It's a very niche song.
Nobody knows, man. Come on, man. What are some other lyrics that won't give it away? Somebody says Wu-Tang Clan. Nah, man. Too short. No. Mm-mm. Megadeth? No, man. No. Nobody's gonna get it.
Oh, Sean got it.
What did he say? He said Boba Fett. Bubba Fett. He said Baba, then he said
Just
Fett.
like
He said Bubba Fett.
Just like a redneck Boba Fett. He's all fat and he's got
MC
rolls.
Chris. D gave it away, man. D gave it away. Come on, man.
He's got like rolls coming out of his armor.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
Bubba Fat. Oh.
Lauren said MCP pants. Close.
Yeah, he says, war's over. I'm a piece of Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
My story has stumped Star Wars historians deep in debate. Buffet plate at Bennigan's. Rhyme renegade, sure to penetrate first and second defense. I won't hesitate. Got a job to do when Darth's the guy that delegates. Got something against Skywalker, someone he really hates. I don't give a F. I'm after Solo. For all I care, he could be hiding at Yoda's dojo. Got to make the money. Credit's no good when the Jawas run the shop in your neighborhood. He says, thank you, can cook. I got a grappling hook. Let's make this quick because I'm really booked. I'm a deviant, degenerate, defender of the devil. Shut down all the trash compactors on the detention level. My backpacks got jets. I'm Boba the Fett. While I bounty hunt for a Jabba Hutt to finance my vet. He says, I chill in deep space. A mask is over my face. And then he just goes on and on and on. Will deliver the prize, but I still narrow my eyes because my time I don't like to waste. Get down. I'm a question wrapped inside Enigma. Get inside the slave one, finding your home and signal. From Endor to Hoth, Ripley to Spock. I'll find what you want, but there's going to be a cost. Say, my name is Boba Fett. I know my shit is tight. Start acting right. You're frozen in carbonite. Got telescopic sight. Flamethrowers on my wrist. You still don't get the gist. Spike boots are made to kick. Targets are made to hit. You think I give a shit? Your mom is... Be word. I'll see you in the Sarlacc pit. You just flip my switch. Integrity's been dished. You're scratching on my itch. I know. I shoot to get. Got bambinos at cantinas waiting to lick my lusty lips. So I'll let you get back inside your little spaceship. Give you a head start because I'm the sporting kind. Consider the starting line up the sneaky smile. I hide inside. Hope you have hyperdrive. Pray to stay alive. Don't try to slip me a 5 because I never take a bribe. To the beat of a different drummer, badass bounty hunter, let no man put asunder or else they be put under. As in 6 feet, got an Imperial fleet backing me up, gonna blow up any attempted defeat. They got the Death Star, got 4 payments on my car, handed over to Hammerhead at Mos Eisley Bar. He used to carjack, now he's a bar back. Just goes to show you can get back on the right track. I guess for me, it's not an option. I can say that with more clarity. Me going legit would be like Jar Jar in speech therapy. And then he says, my backpack's got jets and blah, 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 blah. That's the lyrics. That's the lyrics. Go check it out. It's a good song. I used to jam it back in the day. It's been a long time since I jammed that out. But that's MC Chris. MC Chris. And he is the voice of MCP Pants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's the one that sings, I got candy, bubblegum. I want candy, bubblegum and taffy. Skip to the sweet shop with my sweetheart Sandy. Got my penny saved, so I'm a sugar daddy. What did he say? I'm a Hugh.
I don't know.
God, what's his last name? Anyway, he says Hugh Cronin or something like that. I don't know. And then he says, she's my Jessica Tandy. I want candy. Any kind will do. Don't care if it's in churches or FDA approved. I'm going to get spazzed out like Bobcat's own boots. A hyperactive juice that only I could produce. Jill the giant drill. Drill straight into hell. And then he just goes on about releasing ancient demons. Blah, blah, blah. Something about hawking diet pills. For real. That's on Aqua Teen Hunger Force. See, my mind remembers all this wacky stuff. I can literally quote Eazy-E lyrics on demand. Waiting for some people to leave. I got another trick up my sleeve. Step to the back of the house. Look in. All the lights are out. Got to grab the door and it's locked so easily with my way to the window. Lift it up slowly because it takes time and look around, then climb, then get what you're going to get front and center or get 5 years for breaking the inner. Move quickly, but no running. Shh, I think somebody's coming. I hear the front door key and a flea out the back with his fistful of jewelry. Over the wall, don't fall. Wipe my sweat because that was a close call. Getting ganked by E is a lesson. So, are there any more questions? See, I can do Slayer lyrics too. I could literally just off the top of my head, I can do this. I can quote whatever. So I got pretty good memory. Right? But it gets cluttered up sometimes with all kinds of stuff. Somebody will be like, why did you mess it up? I told you I had a green truck. Why did you mess it up? Why'd you say it was blue? Probably because I got a million things going on in my head and they're moving around 1,000 miles an hour, dude. Shit. Oh. And Amy Krill has a good question here. It just got sent to me. She says, question, so if you're already a Patreon member, we'll have access to the material behind the paywall? Yes. Yes, you will. You will have access to the... I want to show you guys something before I run here real quick for the 306 people still left. Check these out. Like, so we broke down because Tony's had it for like what, 3 or 4 years, the Yum Box?
Yeah.
It's from a company called Universal Yums, and it's actually really cool. And I'm not a spokesman. I have not accepted sponsorships, although, like I said before, I've been offered some really weird stuff. I just wanted to show you guys because I love you guys. I think you're awesome. But we got that. This is from Taiwan, I believe. And these are really good. These are really good. And they are like, the calories are lower than here in America. All the stuff from Europe and Asia, I'm not even joking, man. There's less sodium, less sugar, and it's made with real stuff, and it's not all GMO'd. Like the soy and the corn is not all GMO'd like it is here. It's not all owned by Bill Gates. And these are the pea protein ones. Pea snacks, crispy pea snacks. I got addicted to these, man. Like this whole thing, it's a pretty heavy bag. It's not just all air. It's got 240 calories for the whole bag. And it's really good, man. I mean, I eat these and I don't feel like crap. Like if you eat potato chips or corn chips here in the United States, you'll feel like crap. But, you know, you get the cheapest box, I think is like $30 a month, you know? But if you want something like good snacks to come in, you can eat, you know, whatever. They have some really good stuff. So shout out to Universal Yums. I really enjoy it. And I don't, like I said, I'm not a sponsor, not paying me to do this. I'm just telling you because if you want some snacks that are healthier, you can go to their website and you can order the snacks from other countries, like their chips and their sweets and stuff. And they have less sugar. They use real sugar for the most part, not all of them, but most of them do. And they don't have all the GMO stuff because all the other countries in the world basically say, hey, don't poison ourselves with this garbage. But over here, they're trying to kill us as fast as they can. And then they have the sweet snacks like this, you know, they're like their version of chips, which is better, you know, and it's like pea protein instead of like carbs and everything. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there to you guys. And I'm only saying this because I like you guys and I want the paratroopers to live on. Right. So that, yeah, exactly. Nevia, how you doing? Such a nice person too. Nevia's Angel. Very, very open-minded people over there from Abe's chat. She's a one of Abe's army, part of Abe's army. We're just going to start calling him Abe's army. But yeah, and so Abe's like my brother from another mother, and I love all of those people. Jason Bland, Paranormal Soup, he's coming on right now. He's you know, his show's about to start. Great guy. Blondes and Booze, BMR Tex, great guy. Monica Rollins, Joe Breezy, they are awesome. They have good channels too. Monica's is what is it? Our Paranormal World, is that it? And then there's Paul Paranormal Paul. He does a good job. Let's not forget Rivos, Codex of Curiosity. Another great guy, has a good show. And if I forget, don't mention somebody, Off to the Witch, Chris Garitano. He does a good job. And of course, the big boys like, you know, Merkel and Marzulli, and of course, Josh Ninocchio. They're like monster channels. They're huge. They dwarf our channel. That's okay. They do this full time. I don't. But yeah, Josh Inoggio's channel is What Lurks Beneath. I can't say that everybody he's had on his show is a friend of mine, but he's had some really cool people. Of course, Abe was on there. He killed it, knocked out of the park, does a great job when he goes on. Anybody, he's a good guest at any time. He's a damn good guest for anybody. But yeah. So guys, just thanks for supporting me and my friends, and actually Ninocchio's been trying to coordinate so I could get on there, and we're going to talk, and we're going to do a show pretty soon. But you know, I'm super busy. I'm a super busy guy, man. I mean, it really is. Yeah, Ninocchio uses AI, but like he gets people's stories on there, you know, like he does. And I know because some of the people I've interviewed, he's interviewed them and he's told their stories or they've been on his show. I can't say everything. I don't know because I don't know. But from what I've seen, he's pretty legit. but it's hard. It's a lot of work involved. You know, he's got people that actually do like the work, because I know some of the people that used to do the work and retell people's encounters or whatever and help him. You know, I have a team too. It's just that we all work, you know, another job. And those guys have all been like, hey, you know, you should start doing this full time. You can kill it and do a really good job. Yeah, but I have a business too, you know, and I have a business partner who's semi-retired, and I have to kind of just I have a lot to do, and I have a lot to do. I can't tell you how much I love this though. I love you guys. I love the paratroopers. Y'all are second family to me. Nellie's always talking to you guys, and always, you know, and Anthony, me, Tony. I mean, we all love you guys a lot. Really do. And thank you to everybody who helps out and who's been, you know, so gracious to help out. Lolo says, Josh, which nights will be Patreon nights? Okay, so that's eventually after October, where the Wednesday live stream is going to become a Patreon live stream. That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else did we do? The Tuesday and Thursdays will be, one is members only, and then the other one is a Patreon.
Yeah.
Right? So eventually the pre-records will only be on the Patreon or members only. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's that. What did Jason say? He said, truly appreciate you. Jason's a great guy. Really appreciate you, brother. Nellie Turner, Madeline Chap, Tony Mushu, and Anthony. Yeah, we appreciate you too, man. Yeah, I didn't mention Maddie. Sorry about that. I try to not mention her. I mean, she's only this tall, and that's from the table. Because remember, you know, she's a doll, right? Whatever. But yeah, I thought about marketing that. You know, those Labubu. Those Labubu dolls, make a Lamatti doll. Yeah, just sell them like a little, instead of action figures, just make some little like goofy dolls, you know, of everybody. Richard's showing up all late, dude. What do you talk about? We talk about a lot of stuff, man. Go back to sleep. You missed it. You be my co-host tomorrow night, Richards. We'll see you. All right, guys, we're out of here.
As I travel this life alone, two paths both unknown. For what already has this life shown? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. Less traveled, dark and cold. I came upon a fork in the road. I pondered, both mind free. The fall had come. For yellow is the autumn tree. Both I long to travel, for I'm but one. I could not see, for both were bent, the overgrowth and canopy. Where will destiny lead me? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. began my journey on the road less traveled. Regret haunts me at times, looking back wondering where the other path myself would find. But both paths are traveled equally. For many take the zombie road to normalcy, and others seek individuality. From the wear on the trail it appears 50-50. With every footstep came pitfalls and risks, rewards and opportunities. Looking back, what did I really miss? The first step I diverged from normalcy. No paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say.